Just me, a place to be me, where you get to experience life. 'Cause life is a journey, not a guided tour. If you want the rainbow, you have to go through the rain. All right. Good afternoon, guys. Thank you so much for coming back and joining us for this November theme of thankfulness and gratitude, an attitude for gratitude. I like that as a title for this series of topics that we're discussing this month. So, in the previous episodes, we discussed what gratitude was and some barriers in our life from circumstances, from our own personal experiences, from our environment that may have create hindrances for us embracing and accepting and performing gratitude in our lives. And now we're kind of going to take a step back and take a look at what and why is gratitude, why has this idea of gratitude been so popular and so influential and so helpful for people over the years. And there's been a lot of research that has been done that has allowed for gratitude to be supportive in helping improve our physical health as well as our mental health as well as our relationships. So, three areas of our lives that we all have: our relationships, our physical health, and our mental health. Gratitude has been proven to positively impact all of those areas. So, today we're going to take a special look at some of those areas and how gratitude really kind of supports those notions of improvement. So, gratitude, just a summary again, gratitude is a positive emotion that involves being thankful and appreciative. When you experience gratitude, you feel grateful for someone or something. This could be an experience, event, or situation in your life. And you respond with feelings of kindness, warmth, or other forms of generosity. It could be actions, it could be words of affirmation. Um, and gratitude definitely plays a powerful role in our overall health and well being. You guys want to add anything, ladies want to add anything else about gratitude before we kind of jump into why it's so influential for our mental health?
Well, when you think of gratitude, it just shows, how much you appreciate things and appreciate life. And if you have more of a positive outlook as it relates to being grateful, it's almost like sending positive vibes or positive energy within the universe as it relates to just being thankful. We do know that the world that we are presently living in has a lot of things that are not good, but because those things are not good, we can still utilize gratitude as a sense of hope. And that sense of hope that we are projecting during this time can also help us as it relates to really feeling good in spite of all the things that are going on. So, once again, gratitude can, assist as it relates to laying a foundation as it relates to your desires, your hopes, and your dreams, in spite of the negative things that are going on around you.
And I like the way you said that, Miss Smith, about yes, stressful things, stressful events can happen. And a lot of times with gratitude, it's not rejecting those stressful things, it's acknowledging those stressful things, but then also acknowledging some of the positives and the tidbits that are also happening in conjunction to some of the stressors in our life. Go ahead, Miss Tracy.
I like how you help to connect my little input, because the gratitude is not only in giving, but it's also about receiving it too. So that part of the well-being. So when I say by receiving that, when someone comes and is grateful that I'm in their life, that are grateful that I was able to contribute, was grateful for that, it helps lift me up in moments that I might be, could be feeling a little sad or down. So that's why I said when it helps the well-being to promote it, that you also should be a recipient of that gratitude as well.
So, when it comes to improving our mental health, research says that practicing daily acts of gratitude forces you to focus on positive and optimistic thoughts instead of dwelling on the negative and the stressors. So, positive and optimistic thoughts tell our brain um, when we do think about positive and optimistic thoughts or experiences, there are specific natural chemicals that we all have, neurotransmitters, dopamine and serotonin. We all have them. We all have different amounts of them. But when we begin to think about and we focus on positive and optimistic thoughts, which can be seen when we are grateful or perform gratitude, acts of gratitude, those neurotransmitters, those chemicals become more plentiful in our brain. And so if they're more plentiful in our brain, then that is exuding elements of happiness, of satisfaction, and of overall joy and appreciation in our lives. Okay. So gratitude helps to shift the attention away from the negative emotions linked to stress and focus on more of the positive things, which then allows our body, our mind, excuse me, our brain to release neurotransmitters and chemicals that will help with overall joy and satisfaction. So overall, it's kind of telling your brain to think positive so that you can feel positive, if that makes sense.
Mhm. If you look at your body, like as that circuitry with wires, that when you release that good boom, that rush, that happiness or whatever, imagine that just going all through your body. And that's that dopamine, that pleasure, that feel good that gets to be released when you have that natural, like say, gratitude, or when you're faced with the negative thoughts, to start thinking positive, to say the expressions of gratitude. You releasing those chemicals to help shift you, and it's about having that balance, because we all have that makeup. You don't know, how much of dopamine is at this time, how much serotonin is being released. So if it's more of one than the other, I just imagine that war going on, because stress comes along, and that's something else that gets released, and that's cortisol. So you have
Mm.
all of these chemicals or whatever in you that's being released, and you need to have that balance. So if you are over the top with the negative stuff, like tipping over, try a whole 30 days of gratitude and see how you shift physically and mentally, because of again, that extra release of those good hormones at that time, happy hormones, I would say.
It's almost like speaking things into existence. So, or performing things and creating your own path.
Mm.
Um, so, yes, gratitude, the act of gratitude can create feelings of joy, satisfaction, that releases those chemicals that help to support happiness. Um, and it can definitely counterbalance or outweigh some of the stress and the sadness and the worry that can come along with depression, anxiety, or other mental health concerns. So that's how gratitude can help improve our mental health. And one thing that I will say is that one act of gratitude of every 30 days, you may or may not see a change. Gratitude is something that you have to practice daily, like riding a bike, like practicing cursive, like eating healthier, like exercising. It has to be something that is implemented in your daily activity. So how does it help with our physical health? A lot of times when we're feeling negative and cynical, it can lead to feelings of stress, tension, worry, irritability, and sadness. And these feelings can lead people to perform unhealthy behaviors. Um, when I get sad or when I get irritated or I get stressed, I tend to pull away from people, or I will not go to the gym as often, or I will overindulge in lots of sweets. I love cake and cookies. Um, And those behaviors, those unhealthy behaviors, are linked to stress on our body. So it's not necessarily um, the feelings that are creating the stress, it's the behaviors that we're doing when we have the feelings that is creating the stress. And then an over excess amount of unhealthy eating or not enough movement can lead to poor control of blood pressure. It can lead to stomach issues. It can lead to a weak immune system. And it can also lead to poor heart health. So if we're not working on our heart, if we're not building up our endurance, our muscles, different things of that nature because we're sad, then that creates physical health issues. Now, gratitude comes in with that because gratitude helps to support those positive emotions, those optimistic thoughts. So if we're practicing gratitude every day, we're counteracting some of those negative stressors.
That makes me think of, it was an experiment that was done, and it's called Counting the Blessings versus the Burdens, and it's an experiment investigating of gratitude and subjective well-being in daily life. And it was two psychologists, Robert Emmons and Michael McCullough. And what they did, it was the effect of grateful outlook on psychological and physical well-being was examined in three studies. In the first study, study one and study two, participants were randomly assigned to one of three experimental conditions. They were either hassled, they had to write down things of gratitude from either neutral life events or social comparison. And they kept a log, whether it was weekly or daily, recording their moods, their coping behaviors, and their physical symptoms and overall life comparison. In a third study, persons with neuromuscular diseases were randomly assigned to either the gratitude condition or control condition. And the gratitude outlook of the groups exhibited well being across several, not all of them, but across all of the other studies are relative to compare to the groups. The effect on positive effect appeared to be the most robust founding. Results suggest that a conscious focus on blessings may have emotional and interpersonal benefits. So I read just part of a little article, and it's a lot of testing or experiments that have been done through psychologists, that they get studies of the brain to really show this effect, that when we introduce this or operate more with gratitude, especially when we're having, say, periods of depression or very stressful times in our lives, that this does make a difference. It's like proven chemically, and there's a lot of people walk around and it's like, you got to show me better, you can tell me. So if you like that, like, you can do research to help. There's studies out there to help support the fact that that again, we talked about the different chemicals that are actually released on the inside. We don't see those things that go on the inside that cause us to respond on the outside. So there are plenty of studies that are out there to help support this type of implementation into your life. A little bit more gratitude. How they say, an apple a day keeps a doctor away.
Yep, yep. Gratitude a day makes the attitude positive. I got to
And
work on that one.
and what Tracy just summed up is how the mind and the body works together collectively for the well-being of the person.
Behaviors start to cycle all over again. And then last, oh, go
Uh,
ahead, Miss Tracy.
as we were preparing, even to do our own research on this area, it was a test. It's like a 6 question test to see where you are, and you take actually like 6 basic questions, do your little scoring, add it up, and if you score between 5 and 20, you are certain. And the goal was between 6 and 42. So I was a little reluctant at first to see what I was going to score, but I happily scored at 42. So I got a whole lot to be thankful for. So I did really, really good. Really, really, really good. What is actually called the gratitude questionnaire is a 6 question survey that you can take. Google it, it's online. And just to see if you need to do a little bit more work in that area or not, just in case you score like a 0.
Yeah. And one of the reasons why we're even talking about this is because it does impact our physical and our mental health. And so sometimes we don't have it all, and we have to tap into different behaviors. We have to do different things in order to support our overall health and well being. And so if you notice that you are struggling or lacking with gratitude or acts of gratitude or thoughts of gratitude, then this information may be an area that you want to look into a little bit more. It's free. Gratitude is free, and it can definitely transform your physical and your mental. And then the last thing that gratitude can do is improve relationships. So by expressing gratitude, it can strengthen your relationships because you're showing appreciation, and this appreciation deepens bonds with one another. So if it is your marriage, if it's intimate relationships, if it's relationships with your friends, your family, grateful people often have stronger social networks because they tend to be more approachable, empathetic, and open, developing positive relationships, creating a sense of belonging and support. And another thing that I found is that um, people who have high levels of gratitude in a marriage or in a relationship will tend to experience a decline in their marital satisfaction if their partner does not express gratitude in return. I'm going to read that again. People with high levels of gratitude can experience a reduction in their gratitude in their marriage or relationship when their partner does not express gratitude in return.
Well, that's very, very important because it lets us know that the environment you in can affect how you express gratitude. So we want to make sure that we center ourselves around people that are positive. And the more that we center ourselves around people that are positive and have great influence on us, that will help as it relates to us being grateful and feeling grateful, because as humans we want to feel as if the relationships that we have are beneficial to us, and we want to feel a sense of belonging, and we want to feel good. So it's almost like we have a choice as it relates to who we center or who we are around that can assist with an increase of gratitude.